going to turn now to the Middle East. We're going to go to Bloomberg News Deputy UAE Bureau Chief Abeer Omar, because one of the things we've been talking about, Abeer, is how Gulf countries are reacting to this conflict. Not only how they're taking fire from Iran, how they're dealing with that, but how they're reacting, how they're dealing with the U.S., and whether or not they're trying to make moves to handle security on their own. Can you just kind of walk us through what's going on in the region and how the GCC countries are feeling?
Good morning, Christina. So yes, you're absolutely right. Gulf countries are in focus when it comes to this widening parameters of this conflict. You mentioned that the Houthis had reacted this morning, joining the conflict. They've remained not part of it for the past month or so, but are now part of it. So we're seeing the conflict really taking different shapes. When it comes to Gulf countries, including the biggest two in the region, that is the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, those countries we reported earlier are considering possibly weighing options to come in militarily. Now, this will only be the case if Iran attacks some vital infrastructure, including desalination plants, for example, in Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates. Iran has continued its attacks against Gulf countries into the early hours of this morning, including, as you mentioned earlier, a base in Saudi Arabia, but also the KZAT facility close to Abu Dhabi, on the way from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, but also Kuwait's airport and a facility in Oman as well, which has been a mediator. But Gulf countries are secretly telling reporters, we also reported earlier, that Gulf countries are starting to get really frustrated and angry at Iran and Iran's relentless attacks, but also the lack of objectives, or the lack of clarity on the objectives from the U.S. administration, from President Donald Trump's administration. And they really fear a scenario here where the Trump administration reaches a deal with Iran, but it doesn't really dictate what it could be like in the future. Now, I mentioned earlier that Gulf countries, including UAE officials, have told us in the past that they were really anxious over Iran crossing red lines. Iran has done so now. It's crossed those red lines. It's attacked them directly. And so that is something that they're going to need some guarantees over when it comes to future purposes.
Abeer, help us understand the way that the attacks that we saw yesterday are reverberating around the region. So they were preceded by the president saying that he was going to put in place this pause on attacking power plants, energy infrastructure. It seems Israel did that on the heels of that announcement from the president. How is that more degradation of infrastructure playing out across the region?
Look, I mean, the president did say that he's not going to attack plants and until the deadline of April 6th comes through. You mentioned earlier that he's given that deadline of April 6th until 8 p.m. Where no plants are going to be attacked, and for Iran to come back to the negotiation table. But we've seen attacks from both sides. Israel attacked a heavy water reactor facility in a nuclear plant in Iran yesterday. That led to the Houthis this morning attacking Israel. And so, you know, what is happening in the region is what I've been hearing from a lot of officials over the past week is this whiplash effect, where you get a lot of these geopolitical headlines from President Trump, but also from Iran, saying we're coming back to the negotiating table, with Iran to counter saying that's actually not going to happen. The plans or the proposals that have been thrown by both sides have been, by some people, nicknamed as a wish list. But it is a starting position by both Iran and the U.S. But the attacks have been continuing, possibly not on nuclear plants or wider energy facilities, but they have been going on across all the Gulf Arab nations and others.